Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors, and everybody in between.
And welcome to another Thursday and another Isbaz.
That's right. It's 8:30. It's Thursday. It should be about something.
Yes, and today it's about Jim Libby.
And it is about Michael Smollett.
We're here every Thursday, as always. This is like such a jour fixe. It's a bit.
It's amazing.
It's a little bit crazy, actually.
It's actually a round number. We turned 30 episodes tonight. This
God
is our 30th episode, and we're still not getting it right.
Yeah, but we got tons of amazing tricks coming up for you tonight.
Oh,
We have been challenging ourselves. Oh boy.
You know, we have spoken. We've done. You know, we've gotten on our high horse before.
Yeah,
we've
it's
ridden.
true. And I think that should be the Isbaz tradition. We open our mouths and put our feet right in.
Big promises, big old feet. Nice.
So actually, I'd like to drink to turning 30.
Turning 30.
That's
a good one. We should put that on the list.
Oh right, yeah.
Nice.
So
Here's to it.
that's the first thing, and then I'd like to drink to all our wonderful viewers who keep coming back, like Marcus and Pavlov's dog and Philly Girl and Moko.
Unbelievable. Nice to see you.
And we'd also like to say thank you to Monica and Verena for tipping us.
Yeah,
the last episode.
Unbelievable. That's right. So, yes, thank you for the happy 30. Hello, all. Michael, it is February 4th. We are already into the second month of 2021.
2021st.
Of 2021. How was your week? How'd it go?
I don't actually know. Like when we decided that we were going to do a weekly kind of review about 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, I thought, oh, this is a really good idea. But in this kind of pandemic slow-mo fuzz box situation, it's like every week's the same. Some dick always goes on the TV and does a press conference about stuff that was supposed to happen and didn't, and now they're changing it.
Yeah.
And stick around for the next press conference. But that's kind of where it is.
Yeah. I had a buddy tell me recently, he was like, you know, because of the pandemic, I've been sitting around a lot. And then he said, but I've hurt my back. I had to go to the doctor because I've been sitting around so much.
Yeah. It's like that lower lumbar area.
Yeah.
It takes a punishment from the sitting
And
on the sofa all the time.
I was like, that happened to me, but I used to think I was really good at sitting. I thought I was good at that.
Yeah.
But nope, just like, you know, no.
I don't know. I think I'm fairly good at lying down with or like sort of lazing on the sofa with my feet up.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time, dude. There was a time when Michael and we were actually, you know, proud of those afternoons where all you did was sit on the sofa with your dick in your hand. You know, it was those times
Was it pride? I don't think I ever felt pride.
Well, at least you know you could do it without feeling weird. And I find that I am often feeling weird, like because.
Is this an age thing or a pandemic thing?
I think it's a pandemic thing.
Right.
And there's a lot of reasons why, I guess, that I'm feeling weird. But like those days of guilt-free hanging out on the sofa with your dick in your hand.
Well, it's because
malaised into something.
Yeah,
you know?
it's because all days are the same.
That every day is like Sunday.
Yeah.
Every day is silent.
Silent,
and
kind of
gray.
silent and grey and mushy, no flavour days. Like, where's the flavour? Like all the days have no flavour. There's no MSG in my days anymore,
We
man.
need to get Uncle Roger in here. We need to get Uncle Roger. up
Uncle
in
Roger
here.
is my new YouTube star.
You love
like
him.
I only found him out like this week, but he's so good.
Yeah, we love Uncle Roger. If you get a chance, check out Uncle Roger.
So
well, that was a good
a kind of
review
recap of the week.
Yeah.
Like I got nothing.
We got nothing.
Yeah.
Well, we hope that you all had a good week. And usually, in general, It Should Be About Something comes to you in 3 parts. And so, Michael, I think we should kick it off and get on to Chapter 1.
Chapter 1. Right. Damn, didn't that just blow your mind?
Did it work? Oh. Yep.
It might have blown your mind and your speakers. I don't know.
We spared no expense for that one. So
you know where your money's going, Philly girl?
Chapter 1 is whether to retire or not.
Oh.
Nice. Oh yeah.
Ooh, nice. Impressive. It's impressive. Okay.
It's impressive. It's not quite impressive.
So retiring. Yeah. Well, I've always thought that I would not retire. I've always thought I would just continue working until I drop dead.
Right.
But now that I'm 50, I've started to think.
You're rethinking this
I'm
position?
rethinking this position. I'm kind of thinking, no, I'm not. I might actually change my mind at some point and just start doing something completely different. I might just move out to the country and become a farmer, or I don't know. Get on my motorcycle and never come back, or something like that.
Well, okay. I want to talk about retiring in general, just for a quick second, because
Yes.
I like this idea, but I think it's a very specific thing. Because I think in general, when we think of retirement, you have your working life, and then you have this time of golden years where you've worked hard, and so you've saved up this money, and then it's there, and then you can do whatever it is that you do. And in
If the
general,
stock market doesn't crash.
Sure. But in general, that's kind of the thing, because you work to live.
Yeah.
Now, we fall under the category of people who actually don't have a job. We have a calling.
Well,
there's
exactly.
a moral thing on top of it, right?
Yeah. I've always felt like what I do is kind of I live to.
Being a farmer involves way more work than you currently don't do, Michael. Which I think.
Thomas Crawley, you
Thanks.
called me just now on the phone, and I said I'd talk to you tomorrow. So what the hell are you doing on my show?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I like the way he's like passive aggressive about it as well. It's like
he's
way
just
more work
calling
than you currently don't do.
Yeah. So, but my point being that I think there's a lot of the population of people that's the thing. You work so that you don't have to work anymore.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, in that understanding, or there is an understanding that your job is not your identity.
You don't enjoy it. It's not something you.
It's something you
want
do.
to do.
It's a Mittelzweck. And in our line of work, though,
it's what you want to do.
We're not only doing what we want to do, but there is this component of it's not a job, it's a calling. Even if you weren't getting paid for it, you'd be doing it anyway, that kind of a thing. And so when does an artist retire?
Yeah.
It's when you stop doing it, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think there's a stigma to that.
To stopping doing it.
To stop
because you become too senile or too immobile or something to ever do it again, or you can't remember your lines.
Well, it depends on when you do it. Do you remember Alexander Tete Müller?
Yes.
God rest his soul.
Yes.
A wonderful actor, funny, great dude.
Yeah.
He then decided he was going to not act anymore. He wasn't going to perform anymore. And
he started painting, didn't he?
No, he became, he was like an insurance.
Insurance.
He was
that's right.
He
was
started
working
studying
insurance,
insurance and stuff. And then after a few years,
he came back to acting.
He came back to acting.
But I thought he changed to insurance because it was just, he wasn't getting any jobs as an actor and he needed to pay his
I think that's part of the stigma. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So when an artist decides that they're not going to do it anymore,
I see.
There is a stigma to it. Are you giving up your dream, your calling? You had this. There was this.
Have you not been successful enough anymore to get the jobs? Yeah.
So retirement for an artist, I think, is a weird place to navigate, because you decide not to do it anymore.
Because you might get judged for your reasons.
Oh, you're always going to get judged, right?
But not if you're Thomas Crawley.
Because Thomas does the judging. So, in any case, I just wanted to throw that out there because I think in your case, I think this is a great idea. I would love to see you stop doing what you're doing.
Because I would finally stop bugging you and getting up in your shit, you know. But that's my calling. You see, that is my calling.
If you gave that up, who would you be?
If I gave up acting, I'd still have that.
Yeah. And I think maybe that's a part of it too. Because even for the non-artist, a lot of our personalities often get made up of what it is we do, right? We identify
to a certain degree.
To a certain
sure,
degree,
yeah.
we identify with our jobs.
Yeah,
You know, that's what
totally.
I do, and what I do is part of who I am. And when it's time, either because you've chosen or because you can't do it anymore for whatever reason, but when it comes time to stop doing what you were doing, then I think you lose a bit of yourself. You lose a bit of your identity. I know that if I had to stop being a performer for me was not only a thing that I love to do, but it was a thing that made me different. It was a thing that made me individual. It helped to make me a little bit special, and I liked the way that felt. And when at the beginning of the pandemic,
You feel good about feeling a little bit special, eh?
yeah, I think we all do. I think
Yeah, sure, yeah.
that's just a human need. We want to feel like we make a difference in some way, or that we are. Yeah.
No,
that we're
I agree.
different.
I'm with you.
When at the beginning of the pandemic, when what I did was taken away, I have to admit it really
You
started.
felt retired.
I felt
Almost
like
like
I'd been-
forcefully retired.
Absolutely, which made me question who I am, and I'm still kind of going through that.
Yeah.
And so this sort of retirement idea is funny because I was talking to Carpenter about that at one point, and we were like, "Is this what retirement is like?"
Yeah.
Isn't the guy that works a job also an actor, building but only one role?
And that's a very common misconception there, Marcus.
Yeah. Sure, Mark.
Being that one character is not acting. So being just one character is not acting. I will give you
Yeah, Jack
that there
Nicholson.
are
Yeah, Jack
actors
Nicholson.
that there are actors who just play that one character, and it's not acting.
Yeah,
Some
Tom
of them,
Cruise. Yeah, Tom. Yeah, fucking Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, I think I probably would never want to give it up completely, but I think I could definitely reach the point where I'd like to focus on other things.
Exactly. And now that focusing on other things is something that we do all the time as well, right? So Michael Smolik is an actor, but he's also a musician.
Yeah.
Would you ever retire from musicianing?
No, but
that's-
but it's also a weird transition thing that I'm in at the moment because I've done so much acting
Yeah.
in the past 25 years, and I'm actually starting to get to the point where I want to do more music, and
Right.
whether that's going to mean less acting is not a path that I'm on or a question that I'm posing.
Right.
But I might do less acting if I end up doing more music,
Sure.
right?
Philly Girl.
And I'd never be without either of those two.
Exactly. Yes, but retiring. Yeah. Let me get quick back to it because I just think this is amazing. Philly Girl 1000. Throughout life, you retire portions of who you are through growth and change.
And
dang.
that's
Dang.
that's absolutely true. And that was actually something that I wanted to append to what I just said because. So many of us in the acting community or the performance community, we do a ton of things, and you kind of move through these different shades of who you're working with, who you can work with, what your opportunities are at the time. So what talents of yours you can utilize.
But
There are times when you can be an actor, there are times when you can be a voiceover artist, there are times when you can be a musician, and you still always remain all of those things, but there are things that interest you in the moment, and there are things where you can work in the moment, where you can earn money in the moment. So it's not always simply a choice of your own, it's also a choice of what is available to you.
Sure.
And a choice of what part of your talents you want to express at that moment as well.
But that's the thing as the artist, right? It's always finding how do I get what's in here and what's in here out here. And there's lots of different mediums to do that.
Mine's money.
Sometimes I think he purposely misunderstands me.
I do. But that's my calling.
I'd like to be in a position to gradually be more choosy about how much, which work I do, gradually winding down and being more leisurely rather than simply retiring. I think that's a really good plan. You know, for a long time, I thought that there would be times in my life where I had enough money. I had measuring sticks.
You've given up on that, have you?
I had measuring sticks. Yeah, sure.
Welcome to my world.
I thought, like, okay, I didn't come from money. Money was never a thing for me, although when you don't have it, it's always a thing for you. But I mean, I never thought that I would be somebody with money. I always thought it never was that important to me. I never got a lot of pleasure in seeing that number go up in my bank account. I just had pleasure in knowing that there was a number in the bank account and it didn't have a
minus in front of it. Yeah.
But I thought, okay, I'm going to have enough money in my life if I can take a taxi anytime, anywhere I want to go.
Then you've been happy for the past 20 years.
And then I got to that point and I thought, this is awesome.
We used to call him Mr. Taxi.
And then I got to a point where I couldn't afford to do that anymore, but I continued to do it because I was used to a level of a standard of living. In any case, I then thought, no, you know what? I know I'll have enough money in my life when I can take a plane at any time when I want.
And then they got so cheap that you could actually afford them.
And then we lived in Europe during the Ollies, and I could do that, and it was amazing. And then I thought, well, I don't know, that's as far as I got with that thought. My point is that for a long time, I used to say that I considered my life, I always said it in German. Ich betrachte mein Leben als ein einziger Urlaub, die ab und zu beschmuckt ist mit Verpflichtungen.
Beschmutzt oder beschmückt?
Beschmückt. Yeah, beschmückt.
So,
So meaning basically, I think of my life as a one long vacation that is once in a while bejeweled with responsibility. So there were some times I had to do stuff, but for most of my life, I could think of it as vacation. I think my retirement is going to be closer to Tom Crawley's wish. No, I think my wish is going to be closer to Tom's, but my reality is going to be closer to wanting to ride in taxis and not being able to afford it.
If I had to choose a retirement, and where are we in time?
We're okay.
We're okay.
Gotcha.
If I had to choose a retirement, I think it might involve also moving somewhere.
Absolutely.
And I think that's going to be the segue to chapter 2 today.
I believe, but let's wait on it because I want to talk about that. Here's the thing about retirement. Part of the Florida. Yeah. The reason I brought up the thing about having money, not expecting money, is that, and we've talked about this before. We're grasshoppers. We've got a bit of ants inside of us, but
I'm a locust.
You're much more of an ant than I am.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh, we haven't talked about this.
No.
Okay, so the idea of the old story of the ant and the grasshopper, where the grasshopper is, there's like an old Disney version of it as well. The grasshopper's playing his violin. He's rubbing his feet together, but he's playing his violin, making all this wonderful music while the ants are busy working and they're doing stuff and everyone's kind of dancing and having a good time and they're all getting ready for winter, and then winter comes along and the grasshopper is following the ants to go inside, and the ants are all like, where are you going? And the grasshopper's like, well, we're going to keep the party going, we've got everything ready. And they're like, no, we got our shit ready.
And you say, I'm more the ant.
Now, what I'm saying is that I'm very much a grasshopper. Mm-hmm. I'm very much in the moment, and I'm kind of expecting, trusting on a lot of different aspects. And I think a lot of people are like ants. And it kind of, maybe this conversation came up with the pandemic because, all of a sudden, everybody was like, oh yeah, You guys, right. No, we don't. We're not going to take care of you. Thankfully, Austria has done a very good job of taking care of us, and I think they're kind of on top
Jesus
of it.
Christ.
It could be a lot worse, and they're doing a great
Not
job.
be paying my rent otherwise.
But that was a worry because I know I'm a grasshopper. I think there's a bit of ant inside me. I think you've got more ant inside of you.
That's quite possible.
And the reason I'm bringing this bit up is because for retirement, you kind of have to be an ant. You have to be preparing for it.
Yeah.
And this is, I don't think I have ever in my life been in a position to prepare for it. That's probably wrong. There's probably lots of times in my life where I was in a position to prepare for it, but because I'm a grasshopper, I didn't recognize that. And so that's one worry I have.
You should have talked to Alexander Müller before he passed.
Yeah.
He would have set you up with a sweet retirement.
Yeah, I got a guy like that. We can talk about it. But in any case, I think that's part of the retirement. And one of the reasons that I always thought
you need
I
money
would
to
never
finance
retire,
it, I guess, yeah.
One of the reasons that I didn't think I would never retire is one, I could never afford to retire. But I would love to be able to. I love the idea of dying on stage.
Yeah,
I love the idea.
I do kind of like that idea. It's that
continuing the
romantic
work,
idea, yeah.
Because much like Andrew, Mr. Perkins in the house, how you doing, brother? I can't not work.
Yeah, but I also like Andrew. Hi, Andrew's doing a lot of charity work these days. I kind of gather from his Facebook feed.
Oh yeah, helping out with the transport of
of food. So and I'm sure that he considers that work. I don't know whether you would have to continue. I'm not sure I would have to continue working as an actor. I'd be interested to know what Andrew says about this. Like whether the work is continuing the work you're doing now or doing something that is meaningful to you.
Well, I think this is another chapter. And I think that we're getting very close to the idea of what is your purpose.
Andrew is certainly an ant who has...
Andrew's a total ant.
He's totally sorted. So
he's a total ant. And in fact,
when
Andrew's
he hits retirement, Andrew's a part of your retirement plan.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying?
Yeah. Andrew, Vince and Valerie.
It's like you're gonna go.
I'm gonna just play. I'm gonna be playing. I'm gonna be rubbing my legs together.
like this.
Michael and I we went and got tested today, and he was way over. We were doing the sign language together, and then at some point we were just doing shit like this, and people were. It was fun.
We got some looks.
We get
tested before we do the show.
You can be a grasshopper living with an ant. You
got to find an ant.
Hey, Moko.
You got to find an ant, Moko. Pavlov.
Want to be my ant?
I still haven't quite figured out who Pavlov's dog is, but yes, I know it was somewhere around about just like the year or two before I turned 40 was when I started really becoming more anti about putting money aside and actually having money to pay for things and
it's really a concept.
It is totally a concept.
I'm trying to write down because I think that's a good idea. I wanted to write down.
We need writing paper on this desk.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, we have a desk, so we need to be writing stuff down. I actually want a list of stuff that I can read off a list, like
we should have
like we do, like in the olden days.
Just to do this.
Like,
just
what
to
else
do
is
the
on
Saturday
the list?
Night Live thing. Just
write it off. Spoke about that shit.
Yeah, man.
Yes, work is a loose term, I suppose. Yes, Andrew, that's kind of what I was thinking. PPE. What's PPE driving? I'm a smart ant. I can join day off. Yeah. Well, good for you, Pavlov.
Purpose. Okay, I think that's a close enough approximation.
It's like works for me. So, does Michelle know this that Jim's going to be moving in for his retirement?
I didn't say anything about moving in. Don't worry, we got it worked out. Yeah, worrying instead of enjoying. Yeah, I'm not saying that one is better than the other, and don't get me wrong. I don't think I would change. I would love to have a little bit more ant in me probably, and it might be healthier. But I would not want to get rid of any of my grasshopper. And that circles back to this idea of what Philly Girl was saying about we're constantly, the evolution of through growth and change, and we are retiring bits of ourselves, and we have always done that. And our lives are just slices of moments, and we build upon those.
It's like a cake in slices,
man.
and you eventually come round at some point, or you go back a bit.
Yeah.
You've got that selection of bits that make up your cake.
What are the bits that make up your cake?
Mine all taste different.
Yeah. All your cakes taste different.
All my slices.
It's not gross.
My slice of every slice of life is different.
Ooh, okay, now you got to it. There you go. It took a little while, but
That's
dang.
Your Slice of Life is a song by Bauhaus. Did you listen to Bauhaus when you were a kid?
Sure, Bela Lugosi
Yeah,
is dead.
I like them a lot actually.
Oh, God. I still have Bela Lugosi's
A couple of records of theirs. Okay, so I'm calling it.
All right.
We're almost 9 o'clock, and I want to move on to this thing of retiring is kinda going somewhere else.
That's right, and we were
And
talking
this
about
brings us
the
to-
idea of moving. So
to chapter 2.
We're gonna. It should be about something. We're going chapter 2. We're gonna make that even better. Chapter 2. What was chapter 2?
What do
mountains or
you
oceans?
prefer, mountains or oceans?
Yeah, mountains or the
So,
sea.
I'm a big friend of both, but I think if I had to choose, I would definitely choose the sea.
Okay, chapter over. No. So what I'm talking about is this. First of all, I think the idea of the question, mountains or the ocean, is usually we think about that as in vacation, right? Like when you talk to somebody about, are you a mountain person or a seaside person?
Yeah, Andrew, you weren't here for the first transition. You joined us late, I think, right? It's our new thing.
And it's not just Michael. I did the graphics.
It's like,
Got the music, did the thing. We're going to get even better.
yeah, okay, the whole sea to sky thing, Andrew. Yes, exactly. We want to be on the ocean, and we want the chief behind us.
Hey, but you can do that on the East Coast too. I grew up in like that. Maine is one of the few places where the mountains meet the sea, much like on the West Coast there. And in fact, Maine has the only, as far as I know, the only real fjord in North America.
No, I don't think you're right about that, actually.
I think I am.
British Columbia has those sounds and their fjords as well.
Sounds or fjords?
Sounds of fjords.
I think a fjord is a fjord and a sound is not a fjord. We're going to have some backup on this.
We're going to have to
It
have
has something to do with deepness
Houston
and
/
breadth.
Andrew test this.
Like a fjord, it has to be deeper than
East
it is
Coast
wide.
mountains are cute. Thank you for saying that, Andrew. Yes, definitely. Pacific Northwest is like one of the best places for mountains and sea.
Hey,
Or Croatia.
I still like Maine because Cadillac Mountain, the first place where America sees the sun every morning. That's where I grew up. Come on, boom, boom. Any case, mountains, sea. We were talking about mountain sea for vacation, but it's also an idea about where you want to live, right? When you choose your druthers,
Fjord you.
fjord you.
There is something, Pavlov, there's definitely something to be said about no matter where you are, a body of water near you is an absolute killer bonus. I was out in Lower Austria on the weekend with my wife, and we were in this little town, and I knew the Danube's over there, and there was this big dike. And we walk towards the dike, and we climb up the dike, and suddenly it's this huge fucking Danube River, which looks like a lake, and it's in spate now at the moment as well, so the water is really high. And we get up there, and Christina's like, boom, eyes like this. It's like, wow, we're at the ocean, because it's 400 meters wide, and it's just this huge rushing body of water.
Right.
And it was just so stunning
Right.
To have the sun setting and the forests and this huge body of water rushing past us, right?
Nice.
So yeah, I'm definitely a friend of having water nearby, whether I'm in the mountains or not.
Well, that was my whole thing growing up, because, growing up near the ocean. I know. Looking at a list of fjords in North America and Maine does not grace the list. Where the hell does this factoid in my brain come from?
I love you, Andrew.
I'm usually really good with factoids.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
By the
factoid?
way, I got a message on Facebook that we need to put in more factoids. So I think it was Jan. Jan, if you want more factoids, we're going to work on that.
Yeah.
Jim's going to work on that.
Yeah.
We're going to poke him.
We'll do a thing. We'll do a thing. Okay. So, but growing up for me on the ocean, here's the thing. The reason that I need to be near water, beyond all the things that you said and Pavlov's dog said, for me, the ocean always meant escape. There was no landscape more frightening for me than the desert. When I read that, when you read books, or when I've read novels about the desert, like Patricia Highsmith or Camus, these descriptions of these unending places, or if I think about the west of America and being in a place like Arizona or Oklahoma, it's like Mars for me. I can't imagine living in a place like that, because for me, somehow, innately, I have this fear that if shit goes down, there's nowhere to escape to. And no matter what direction, it's always the same.
You're going to escape by swimming?
Yes, at least the ocean, for me, was a place where you could get away if shit went down.
Like, if they can't get you, at least you can drown yourself.
No, I don't know. Maybe I just felt like
it's
the ocean is an
interesting
escape
concept, actually.
For me, the ocean was always an
There's
escape.
a lot of rowing involved with the kind of escape you're talking about.
I'm not going to get bogged down in details. I'm just talking about in general.
It's because you're a grasshopper.
It's because I'm a grasshopper. And
I'm going to cut you down like an ant.
When I moved to Austria, for the first 6 months, I would often wake up thinking I could smell the ocean. But it was just the memory of a dream that I would have when I would wake up. And
what was the first place you moved to in Austria?
Vienna.
Vienna, okay.
Yeah. But I always lived, wherever I lived, besides Austria, I always lived on the East Coast. I lived in Maine, in Boston, in Key West. I was always near the water.
Yeah.
The desert and the ocean are quite similar, says Marcus, and Moko would say it's the same as an ocean, but just with sand. I hear you, but you're wrong. Because...
Yeah,
because
there are similarities, but he's right.
There are similarities, but they are very different. They act differently. The Atlantic, the experience, I haven't had a lot of experience with the Pacific, but the Atlantic is full of monsters. It's a gray slate, dark water that is like a grumpy old woman that you have to give respect.
Like a frigid, cold old woman.
Yeah, because there are monsters in those depths. And the Pacific has its own thing, its own personality. But for me, the Atlantic is that. And if you give it respect, then it will respect you. Well, yeah, it doesn't give a shit about you, but you have to respect it. And so getting to Austria, having no ocean near me, I constantly had this memory. And it was like 3 years or so, we went on a trip down to Italy and we drove through the night. And when we first got to the Adriatic...
Yeah, it's like just north of Bologna kind of thing.
Yeah, and we'd driven through the night and we got there and I could smell it.
Yeah.
And then the sun was coming up, and the first time we saw it, I just made everybody stop.
Yeah.
And so I could get out and just be like, I know it's the Mediterranean, but it was the ocean.
It's the Adriatic. It's not even really the Mediterranean.
I know, but it was.
It's only like 6 meters deep, but it's still.
Yeah. I felt like Patrick Duffy.
Yeah. Like Patrick. Oh, Patrick Duffy. Do you know? Waterman.
The man from Atlantis.
The man from Atlantis. That's it. Yeah. But I totally agree that there's that water, bodies of water, don't always feel the same.
Yeah.
And I do agree that if you've been away from the sea for a very long time, then seeing that huge body of water that kind of goes to the horizon, I think that's what it's about.
Yeah.
It's the endlessness of it that is so calming and
Frightening.
Because
you're looking at the abyss.
It's all these things.
And I think that's what Marcus and Moko were talking about with the desert.
I guess so.
That is exactly the feeling you get when you read Highsmith or Camus. You know, those are that feeling of the endlessness of it all.
Yeah.
Now, mountains.
There's definitely something about the meditative thing about the ocean. Yeah.
What is it?
Meditative.
Meditative.
It's not meditative.
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 Mediatorily.
You say it.
Meditative.
You're Russian Medvedev.
Medvedev. Speaking of Russian.
Oh yeah.
This show is being sponsored by Russian Standard.
No, this Russian Standard is being sponsored by our audience.
That's true. So now the mountains, and Andrew's going to, yeah, okay. So on the West Coast, we got the big mountains, you got the Rockies, and you got all this stuff. In Austria, you've got the mountains, and I have been to some beautiful places, in the mountains. They're two of the nicest houses I've ever been in my life. We're tucked away in Swiss Alps, and just gorgeous up on mountains. And I can totally see wanting to live in the mountains. I can never see wanting to vacation in the mountains. Maybe someday. But I don't have a real need to vacation in the mountains.
Well, I've vacationed in the mountains a couple of times. I think in general, vacationing in the mountains, you kind of think of it as offering you less possibilities. So that's one of the reasons why you want to go to the sea. And your friends and your family always want to go to the sea as well, because holidaying is always about getting a tan and lying in the sun.
But that's
which you can do on a mountain.
You can totally do it. And tons of people love to go to the mountains.
But there's ways that the mountains offer things that the sea doesn't.
Absolutely. For example, Moko saying, dangling your legs in a wonderful lake surrounded by mountains. Absolutely.
The mountains are cleaner than the sea.
Absolutely. I totally get that.
The water in the mountains is pristine. You can drink the water you're swimming in.
Yeah. And
I like doing that, actually.
And you get the benefit of what you get at the sea, because at the sea you get bikinis. And in those cold mountain streams in the summer surrounded by mountains or the lake, you can get some bikinis. Yeah,
but Moko, I have to disagree. But hiking is not as meditative as looking out at the sea. You can look out at the sea and meditate with the waves, no matter what physical or mental condition you're in. But hiking always forces you to be in a condition where you can hike.
Yeah, and at the sea, looking at the waves, you can drink a cocktail with an umbrella in it. It's harder to do that while you're hiking.
You can watch the clouds, but you can do that in the sea as well, on the sea as well.
Yeah. Also, for me, mountains, there's a ruggedness. There is a hard scrabbleness. There's a hardshipness that is related to mountains for me. I feel like I have to work more when I'm on a mountain. I'm not a skier, never have been. I went skiing once in my life. Great fun story, but I'll tell that another time. And mountain views can't be beaten, sure, because you're up and you're looking down. And that's why where the mountains meet the sea, those are beautiful places like
the best views of the sea are from a mountain.
Yeah. And I have climbed mountains. I did Klettersteigen for a while, which I thought was fun. That's another story. Great story. Can't tell that right now. But for me, the mountains to go to, there's an ease. There's a letting go. There is a feeling of abundance that I have at the ocean that I never felt in my experiences on mountains.
I think there's something about what Tom and Moko are saying is that being in the mountains it always feels like a more active place to be. Like when you're in the mountains, you've got to be hiking, you've got to be working, you've got to be walking, you've got to be climbing that fucker.
Yeah.
And in this, and at the sea, and this is why your friends and your family like it, is because you just go there, you order your cocktails, and you lie on the fucking beach. So, I think there is that aspect to it.
Yeah. That hard scrabbleness.
Whether it's a holiday or a visit or a travel, being in the mountains is always a little bit more work.
It always feels that way to me. You know, and yes, we can get into the luxuries of it and you can make it not work, but it's work to make it not work. I mean, I've been to, like last year, I was directing a show.
Snow is better in the mountains than it is at the sea. Snow at the sea really sucks.
That's true. But I was directing a show in Switzerland in a place that is known as the second most expensive piece of earth. You know, it's like next to...
What's it called?
It's a place called... I'll tell you in a second.
All right.
And I was directing a show at this resort there. And it is gorgeous. I mean, it is beautiful. But there's snow piled up everywhere. And to leave and go outside, it was such a slog.
Yeah.
Because you're walking through this packed snow. It's cold.
Yeah.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah.
But it's not.
But it's a lot of work.
But it's not like slapping
It's
on
a
some
lot of work.
flip-flops
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
trundling to the
Yeah.
place that sells you a drink with a small umbrella in it.
I think the thing about mountain views can be attained from a helicopter, Andrew. We're going to have to talk about. I think we're going to have to talk about flying or something along that ilk at some point, because the view that you get from when you're up is something worth talking about.
Right.
And whether it's flying or parachuting or skydiving or paragliding or when we went on that secret agent paraglider thing.
Oh my God, this is so funny. So Michael and I are in Mallorca, and we finally went to go paragliding, where you have the boat, and you're in a harness, and there are two people,
and they kind of
parachute
pull you
brings you up,
right?
and the boat takes you, and then we're flying along and tethered.
We were on this special tethered paraglide that took us like 400 meters, and we were way up.
It was quite high.
400 maybe a bit much, but we were very high. And our story was that we
It
were
was so
secret
quiet.
agents, and
Well-
we had to go there because it was the only place that we couldn't, that they couldn't listen to us talking.
And then we imagine, that the camera pans up, and then above us there's another set of parachutes with two more spies
They've got
that are
these
trying to
listening
listen.
devices.
Yeah. And above them was like a guy on a bicycle dirigible with a pair of glasses. But that is true, because that was one of those things where you're up high, but you're at the ocean, and it was so elegant. It was so quiet when you get up there, and there is nothing. And it's so pretty, and it reminded me of the Kettenkarussell in the Prater, which I think is also a really elegant ride, where you go up really high and you're just kind of floating. And it was the complete polar opposite to the other thing that we did on that vacation, which was super fun.
Oh.
The jet skis.
Jet skis.
Which were loud and rock and balls to the wall. It was just and super fun.
So, Mocha, you talking about, you did the parasailing, paragliding?
Parasailing.
Parasailing might be what we did. And
What we did
paragliding
is
is the
called
thing you
parasailing.
jump off the mountain with a
paragliding is like
I've done that too in Sicily, and it's
amazing.
Well worth doing it. Recommend it. It was so much fun that I was convinced that I was going to do a license. You can do it down on the Semmering. It's not even that expensive. It just you have to find a couple of weekends that you can actually.
But that was
do it.
paragliding with.
Yeah, it's like a steerable parachute.
Right. So I had some friends.
And I was like, I'm strapped to this guy who speaks almost no English.
That makes you feel good.
and we just make it off the hill, right? So we kind of scrape across the brush as we go off the hill, and then we get in the updraft and we're flying, and he like shouts at me and he says,
Gobbledygurgle.
No.
Can't speak English.
What's
That's what all foreign languages. Oh.
he says? Atletico. I'm in Sicily, right?
Atletico.
I'm like, yeah, Atletico, and he fucking looped the thing.
If I yell at him loud enough and with as much insistency, he'll always say yes. Atletico.
He made it do this.
Salguy. Yeah, nice.
It wasn't a complete loop, obviously,
Yeah.
but it was like, whoa.
Super cool.
So cool. Amazing.
So mountains or the ocean, I think we're completely clear now. We've decided.
That we can't decide.
I think at the end of the day, we should all remember that pretty soon the mountains, all mountains, will be near the ocean. Because global warming is slowly going to drown all of us. So maybe
Moving to the mountains.
Planning ahead, if we're going to retire, let's retire to the mountains because it'll be ocean soon enough.
Don't get that oceanside real estate too soon. Buy high, not low. So,
I think we did it.
In a helicopter, constantly moving, but I think there's a thing about being in a helicopter that's kind of nice. There's the thing about being in a small aircraft that's nice, and I don't mind the noise.
Yeah.
Because you're so close to the elements, you can feel the wind buffeting the thing. Like the wind's literally coming in the door.
Yeah.
You can see through the crack between the door and the frame.
Yeah, those are not things that make people want to think elegant, smooth, and nice. I think there is something to be said about helicopters. As much as I think they're awesome and I love the fact that they fly in the face of physics, they are unheimlich. Helicopters...
Helicopters, not aircraft in general.
No, not aircraft in general. Helicopters. And perhaps that uncanny valley of why is this thing flying? They're also somewhat insect-like. Insect-like. And I think that makes them slightly off-putting for people in some ways. So, yeah. But someday, and I think maybe we should put that on the bucket list, we all take a helicopter ride with Andrew.
Yeah. So,
okay.
are we moving on?
I think we should move on, Michael.
All right.
Put that on the bucket list. We got a whole nother thing.
Shall I
that
just
was
go
a
to
very
the-
successful chapter. It was about whether the mountains or the sea. And now,
We've got this.
what's super easy.
We
don't have a commercial.
We don't have a PayPal link.
What do you mean we don't have a PayPal link?
We don't have a PayPal link. We have a
Since when
PayPal
did we-
account.
we have a PayPal account?
The thing down there?
Yeah?
PayPal account, not a link.
Is it really down there?
It's down there.
You're actually doing the thing where it
Yeah,
goes
I'm doing
down
the
there?
thing. It's down there.
When you do the thing,
It's
look
like-
at where
oh,
your
yeah,
thumb
it's
goes.
like-
Where your thumb is up here. I always put my thumb down here, like this. Oh, hello.
That looks- that looks
Yeah.
slightly
Looks like I got a
disgusting.
penis between my thumb.
No, it looks like you've got balls hanging between your legs.
Yeah, baby.
So,
It's not a PayPal
continuing.
link, it's a PayPal thing.
It's not a PayPal link. You need to go to PayPal and actually enter our PayPal address.
Yeah.
But you are a savvy audience. There is nobody in our audience who's not capable of doing this.
Yeah. And you're all sweet
savvy enough to do this.
for even considering it. So, Michael, it's now time to go to chapter 3 because it should be about something.
Oh, yes.
Comes to you in 3 parts.
It does.
This-
Thank you, Philly girl.
on the
So amazing of you to say that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
on the worst/weirdest places you've slept. Boom. Okay, wait, before Michael says anything, we're putting this to the chat. We want to hear everybody in the chat. What is the weirdest/worst place you've ever
Yeah,
slept?
just post like one word or 2 words. Keep it really short. Okay. No, Tom Crawley, you can't come up with the helicopter has its own fan now. We've changed subjects. Come on. Play the game.
He's behind us, Michael. Don't forget that.
No, he's Tom Crawley. He's being particular about it.
Ooh, it's on. For those of you who don't know, Tom was once, has been a couple times a guest of ours on
At least
It
twice.
Should Be About Something. We love Tom. So, worst, weirdest place, Michael. Don't look at this now. Worst, you're
okay.
here. Worst / weirdest place.
Yeah.
What's one of the worst / weirdest places you've ever slept? And while you're talking about that, everyone else
Well,
can do this.
The one thing that definitely comes to mind is when I was a teenager and living in Johannesburg, I used to hitchhike into town. Well, I used to take a taxi into town. It's like,
As a teenager, you were so rich.
no. It was El Cheapo taxis. There were those minibus taxis.
Doesn't matter. It was taxi. I walked uphill both ways.
It was a
Moving along.
40-minute drive by car. You didn't fucking walk that. That's like a 4-hour walk. That's a 5-hour walk.
I lived in a place where there was
You
nothing to...
lived in Portland, Maine. That's
did-
like this big.
Yeah,
I'm
this-
talking about Johannesburg, South Africa.
I know. We grew up differently. Move on with your story. I wasn't attacking the fact that you... I was just saying that you grew up rich because we didn't have...
What?
Move along.
It was a mini. You don't know what a minibus taxi is.
I get it. What I'm saying is that we didn't even have those where I grew up.
Because you didn't have so many poor people there.
No, because we were all poor and it was rural, and so you didn't have those things. We just grew up differently.
Well, Africa generally has minibus taxis in general because there's such bad public transport.
I hear you. I was making the joke because before I was saying I wanted to be rich enough to take taxis, and you were
Yes.
already taking taxis as a teenager.
I was taking taxis with 20 other people and chickens. That's the kind of taxi I'm talking about.
Oh, so Uber Pool.
Yeah, Uber Pool. Well,
Which we don't have.
not even Uber, because the minibus taxis take a fixed route.
Of course they do. They're
You
not
stop,
buses.
You stop them by hand. Holding,
Right.
well, no, they are basically
Yeah, that's what
minibus
I'm- yeah,
buses,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah,
anyway,
but they're not
You stick your
buses.
finger out and you negotiate with the driver how much you're going to pay him to drive along to where
Right.
you want to go.
So as a teenager, you would often take
We'd
this thing.
take the taxi into town, but at night we'd have to hitchhike back because there was no taxis and no public transport. And one of the worst places I ever fell asleep was in the back of someone's car. And I wake up and they've driven past the place where I actually wanted to get off. And they're waking me by pulling my hair. And I had long hair, it went like down here. And I'd fallen asleep on the floor of the back, like on the floor of the back seat of the car. And I'm waking up to somebody grabbing me by my long hair and yanking me like this and shaking, saying,
no.
"Wake up! Do you want to get out here? I think you should get out now."
Probably because he'd been driving around, didn't know that you were in there. You scared the shit out of him because you had fallen asleep on the floor. Okay.
So not necessarily a bad or weird place to sleep, but definitely a bad place to wake up because it was painful.
Yeah. So I have slept in a lot of weird places and terrible places. Here's one. So hitchhiking through Europe, trying to get onto a flight in Luxembourg, and we slept in one night. We slept in the woods next to the airport. so like on the there's the parking lot of the airport, and then just beyond that there were woods, and we just like went 10 meters in there and found a place to sleep. The same kind of thing, except between a
But wasn't it fun? Was that a bad or weird place to sleep?
It was a super weird place to sleep.
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as the same kind of thing, except we were hitchhiking. We were on the highway in France. I'm with my buddy Ken Campbell, and there's the highway going like this, and then the off-ramp, and we slept in the copse of grass between the highway and the off-ramp, like rabbits in a bramble.
Okay.
So Okay. Now, recently,
So this is interesting because usually I have the more exotic stories to tell, and Jim's always like, "You grew up such a what a weird life and rough and God knows what," but I've never slept in the brambles between highways before.
okay, it gets worse. So,
Yes, please.
okay, so then recently, in fact, I'm coming back from Switzerland at this super expensive high 5-star. I'm trying to fly from there to Greece, to an island, to the island of Kos,
Yeah.
to do a show there. But they somehow fucked up my travel plans so that I had to fly out of Zurich super early. And
Of course, from Zurich, you always fly super early.
super early. And so I get into, they get me basically an Uber. At first I have to take a train to get down from this mountain, because mountain. And then somebody comes and picks me up, but I'm waiting super long in this train station trying to stay warm, which is closed. This is now 1 o'clock in the morning. They drive me from this train station to Zurich. I get to the airport in Zurich, which is closed from 2 in the
1
morning,
o'clock in the morning till
6
5 or
o'clock or
something
whatever
like
it
that.
is. And so then I go to this hotel and I say, "Can I stay in your lobby?" They were like, "No." So, but then the woman was nice. She was like, "Okay, I'm going to let you through this door, and if you follow down this way, you'll get inside the airport." Because everywhere outside the airport was locked. So I slept in this finally winding my way through, and it was the weirdest thing to go through the Zurich airport with all the lights on. It was warm, thank God. I'm carrying my shit, and there's nobody there. It was like, it was super freaky.
Tom Hanks.
And then I found a place to lay down, but the lights were on, and it was just awful. And it was that anti-human architecture where
Yeah,
they don't want
fucking
people
hate
to
that.
stick around for
Yeah.
any time. And
Really bad place to sleep was Dubai Airport.
Dubai
I
Airport.
flew to South Africa via Dubai because we got cheap flights, and I think we had a 4 or 5 hour layover in Dubai, and it was not enough time to go out into the town, so we stayed in the airport, and I was just so tired. And they had these terrible they didn't have any straight benches. They just had these sort of lie chairs, but they were made of metal, and they were all shaped for people
they're not shaped for people.
at
That's
least
the point.
at least my size and bigger.
Yeah.
But you couldn't
No.
you could only lie on your back.
It's a
And I
lie.
can't.
It's a lie.
It's a lie of a lie. Yeah.
People ruin everything.
And I can't sleep on my back.
No.
And it was
then the
just so
light.
incredibly uncomfortable, and the light and stuff is
And the
yeah.
noise, it's just awful. So last year, I slept in a hotel. I was not only the only guest in the hotel, I was the last guest in the hotel.
They blew it up after you left.
Basically. And I arrived in the evening on the night before, and so there was one person who gave me the key and let me in. It was a small boutique hotel, and I go upstairs, and I was on a Skype meeting with a bunch of friends, and I was just like, I've got this weird feeling, and I told those people, I was
You
like,
could
dudes,
smell cordite.
no, I was like, dudes, it's weird. I just feel like I'm the only person in this hotel.
Yeah.
So then the evening before when I checked in, they said, breakfast goes until 10. And so I was great. So at 9:30, I go down to get my breakfast, and I get there, and there's this one woman sitting there at a computer, and there's nobody in the dining room. And I was like, I said, "Excuse me," and she was, "Oh, good morning." And I said, Am I the only person in this hotel? And she goes, "Yep." And I said, "Have you been waiting for me to come down to breakfast?" She said, "Yep." And I said, "Since 6 o'clock?" "Yep." And I was like, "Oh my God, I am so sorry. No, please tell whoever it is that is going to be here tomorrow. I'm not going to come down until 9:30, so it's okay." She was like, "Oh, that'll be me." And then we got into this really nice conversation. It was really
But she was going
interesting.
to be there the next day. It wasn't like they
she
were
was,
closing
she was
down
one
the
of the
hotel.
boss. She and her sister ran this hotel for years until Corona came, and then the Catholic Church, who they'd been renting it from for 10 years, said, "We're taking it all back."
Fuck those guys.
Oh, it was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck those guys. The fucking Catholic Church. Let's not. No, we're going to have a different isbaz about
Okay,
the Catholic
I got
Church.
another weird place that I slept. except it was very similar to the copse of trees, but we were sleeping behind a bunch of. It was at like a truck stop.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a good truck stop. It was just a truck stop that had
There
a
are good
box.
truck stops?
Yeah. It's like there are good truck stops where there's like a gas station and there's
Okay,
stuff.
and
We
right,
stopped
okay.
at one of those, and but we couldn't get anybody. And then this one was a truck stop that was like just one on the side of the road, and it's like a box building with a bunch of toilets in it.
Okay.
And we slept behind those.
Yeah.
And we're in these sleeping
Where
bags.
everybody pees because they don't actually want to use the toilets.
Exactly.
You see, I've been around.
And and the woman who squatted over Ken, not in the dark, not seeing him on his bedroll with his sleeping bag, and she's peeing on his sleeping bag, and neither of us are saying anything because if we say anything, it's going to freak her the fuck out.
Yeah. That is classic. You need to put that in a movie. Write that script.
That one's got to go in the movie.
I want to go through. I want to honor some of the crazy shit in this
Right.
feed. So, sleeping under a mobile home during a storm with tornado warnings.
That's a terrible place to
It's
sleep.
a really bad place to sleep, Andrew, and a surprising choice for somebody who's usually as savvy as you are. Under the mobile home, which is going to get torn up in the tornado. But
In a tent flooded from underneath by continuous
continuous.
showers filled with slugs. Wait, were the showers filled with slugs, or was the tent filled with
the
slugs?
tent was filled with slugs.
Of course
after
it
the
was.
showers carried them
Slowly
away.
soaking through the sleeping bag.
Yeah,
Are the
nice.
slugs
Nice.
slowly soaking through the sleeping bag? Slugs slowly seeking. Slugs
I dare
slowly
you to say
soaking
it.
through the sleeping bag. Slugs slowly soaking through the sleeping bag. That's a nice one. On the floor of a hospital recovery room during a snowstorm. Yeah, that's going to be a terrible place to sleep. You know what's interesting about hospital floors is that all over the world, hospital floors still have rounded corners. They don't come together like this.
Really?
Yeah, because in the 19th century, they believed that germs could hang out in there. And so it's easier to clean.
But they also built
Rounded.
rooms in circles.
In
like
the 19th
semicircles
century,
and
they were
stuff
doing
like
that.
it.
Yeah. That's
Really?
the modern term. Yeah.
I think that might be a fake factoid. I'm going to call you on that one.
It's a gym fact. Tom Crawley,
It's a definitely gym fact, yeah.
train or funicular? A funicular. It's a particular kind of fun. It's a funicular. I love a funicular. I'm a big fan of a funicular.
I think he's talking about the train that took you down to the station where you sat in the cold before they took you to Zurich Airport.
Oh, no. I know what you mean. Though the resort on Kos, they did have a funicular that went from where the resort is down
like a sea to sky thing.
into the. That's a funicular. No, but it was an actual train. I had to
What
get
do
a
you- what do you-
ride
what
to
do
the
you-
train station and then take a train station down the mountain. It was just.
What do you
terrible.
call those trains that run on that have a cog drive?
Those? Well, it depends on what. If they're this way, I believe they're a funicular. You know, if they go like.
Yeah, but
like
a
this.
funicular has doesn't have a cog drive. It's connected to a cable that pulls it up like a cable car.
I don't
So
know.
it's a
You're the
cable car
train
wheel.
guy. Michael's the train guy.
But there's those trains that have cog drives, and they're also capable of going up fairly steep.
Once slept in a bed
Bed
in
in
Jim's
Jim's
apartment from 2 a.m. to 2 p.m. straight through. During the morning, he had to show someone around. This is the bedroom. That's Tom.
That's classic. Do you remember that time that we had a party at your place and Anne fell asleep on the floor and she fell asleep on the carpet and we had to pull her from the carpet. She wouldn't get up.
No. It wasn't even at my place. We had gone to a party at this play's atelier. And
Sure.
Yeah. It wasn't even private. It was like we were at friends. It was like a friend's place. And Anne, we're talking about Anne Kozlu, who is
go say her full
completely
name.
hardcore English lover and
Grandmother.
And she's a grandmother now. But this was just a few years ago. And we were partying and dancing, and she just got drunk and decided, I'm just going to lay down. And she laid down underneath the desk, like in one of the rooms. And then when we tried to wake her up, we pulled the carpet to get her up, and she was just like, no,
Yeah.
I'm staying here. It was
She stayed on the carpet.
very rock and roll.
We moved the carpet and we rolled her off the carpet onto that
Coolest weird
It was a
place was in the
mattress.
mathematic area of the Boston Museum of Science with a troop of brownies. That's a good one.
A rack railway, that's it. Yeah, rack and pinion.
Nice.
Thank you.
Mr. Perkins coming up with that. So, other weird, worst places that you slept? Oh, I had a terrible one not too long ago. Well, this is a couple of years ago. I was gone to Munich to work with a theater company there, and they set me up with a hotel room. And so I go to the place where the hotel room is, and this hotel room, it was like one of those, hotels near the train station.
Yeah, I have a story about this.
And it was
Last sleep of my life, yeah.
and it was not good. And I got there, and the bed was like 160 centimeters long, and I'm 183 centimeters long. It was fine. There was a big sink in the room, but the bathroom was in the hallway. It's not my favorite place, way to stay. It was okay. So I get to Munich, I get to the hotel. I'm a little disappointed, but I'm game. I go and I do the first day of work with this theater company. I come back home later in the evening. I'd gone to see a wonderful show that evening that another friend of mine was in. And I get back to the hotel. I go to the bathroom. There's carpet on the floor of the bathroom in this hotel.
Oh, that's weird, yeah.
And
I don't like that
I
at all.
made the mistake of walking from my room because it was quite late. It was like 1
How do
o'clock
they
in the
get
morning.
the pee out of the carpet?
Well, they didn't, and that's my point, Michael. If I would just finish my last sentence,
I wish you
walked
would.
down the hallway to the bathroom, and I walked in, and my socks got soaked with piss because there was piss and poop everywhere in this bathroom, and I was like, "Who the fuck would do this? Why are people ruin everything?" So I nearly leapt off of the floor. I jump out. I go back into the room. I throw the socks out the window. I pack up my stuff. I call my friend whose show I had seen. She had been living in Munich because she doesn't live in Munich. She was just performing in a show there. She was staying at this Airbnb where she had to ask if it was okay that I came. And then I went and I slept at her house that night because I was like, I'm not staying another moment in this hotel.
I can imagine. To be fair, though, that was obviously fresh piss that had been left by someone who'd just taken a piss. So it could have been there, whether it was tiled or carpeted. What I'm talking about is the carpets. How do you get the piss out of the carpets?
After that round of piss is dried.
So basically, you're looking at week after week after week. That piss is just drying in those carpets. Ooh-wee.
I have slept in some terrible places.
Like you've never slept on one of those carpets, though.
No, thank God. You know who can, Bronwyn?
Oh, I have to tell you this story because I want
please.
to get to this hotel story. So I went to Berlin a couple of years ago for a course.
Right.
And get to the airport and I think, there'll be some cheap place I can stay at the airport in Berlin, right?
Yeah, great.
Because this is, I've done this before, right? Just get to the airport and choose the cheapest hotel in the vicinity, right?
Was it one of those ones where the room is just a plastic form?
So
With a
I
shower and a
choose the
toilet?
cheapest hotel in the vicinity, and it's kind of expensive for what I was expecting, and then it was also really shit. So I get up into my room, and there's a fan in the top corner of the wall, like where
Right.
the wall
Oh, yeah,
meets the
yeah,
roof,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's on full blast the whole time. And I call reception and say, "There's a fan in my room, and it's really loud. Can you turn that off?" And it's like, "No, we can't.
Great.
That fan's going to be on the whole time." And I'm not talking. I'm talking.
It was a vuvuzela.
And it was on the whole fucking night. So I slept with earplugs. And then I get down, and it's already been an expensive evening, an expensive night. I get down, and I think breakfast is obviously included in the price I paid. No! But the best part was, I only had one coffee and one croissant for breakfast. And I had to pay the full breakfast price.
I'm surprised.
So I could have eaten all of that shit, but I didn't because I only wanted coffee and a croissant.
Yeah, you
but I had to
probably
pay
would
the
have gotten
fucking full
ptomaine
price.
poisoning from the rest of it. I'm surprised that there was a reception in that place. Parked a VW bus late at night
Yeah,
near
that's
the Saragossa
brilliant.
soccer stadium, waking up next morning in the middle of a weekly farmers market swarmed by Africans that wanted to buy the bus. Love it. Second worst place for me, a motor hotel in Christchurch in New Zealand with no openable windows for AC in the summer. It was so dirty we slept with our clothes on for one night and
Okay.
rebooked in another hotel. Okay, this is
So rebooking is something that I've done a couple of times. You just get a place that's so bad, you just fucking like, okay, forget it.
you call up your
We're gonna,
friend and say,
we're
"Can
gonna
I sleep in
pay.
bed
We're
with
gonna
you?"
pay twice. I don't care. I just want
Yeah.
to get out of this place.
Yeah.
I was on a road trip with my wife a couple of years ago, and it was getting late, and we didn't have a place to stay yet, and we just booked the first thing that was in our vicinity on Booking.com, and we spent the night in a dive. Fucking hell. We developed, like, as from that day onwards, for the rest of the 2 weeks we're on that road trip, we just developed a lot more patience with finding a place.
Yeah.
Like we just decided never to take the first place that was available.
Then you could be somebody like Bronwyn Metz Pensinger, who will fall asleep, has the ability to fall asleep anywhere.
Really, I did not
instantly,
know this about
as
her.
long as it's a moving thing. If she gets onto a train,
Oh,
2 minutes
really?
later she's asleep. You get into a car, 2 minutes. You get on a skateboard, she falls asleep.
So
It's amazing.
Christina's kind of like this as well, but on
Right.
motorcycles, which freaks me out a bit.
It does freak you out a bit.
Is like she's on the back of the bike, and we're kind of winding through Lower Austria somewhere, and I get this on the back of my helmet, which means she's fallen asleep on the back.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank friends and neighbors and everybody in between. Let's start this again. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors, everybody in between, that was It Should Be About Something. I'm calling it.
You are. Okay.
We need to find
good.
a way. We're going to have to get a thing to get us out of these things. Bronwyn fell asleep on a 5-minute drive when I was helping her move from the 5th. Exactly. Exactly.
I love the way that Bronwyn falls asleep because you're moving her stuff. Way to go, girl.
BLMP.
BLMP.
Bronwyn Lee Matz Pensinger falling
Okay,
asleep.
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors, and everyone in between, that was It Should Be About Something. That was Michael Smolnik.
That was Jim Libby.
And
He'll
next
be
week-
here again next week, and I'll be here to poke him and bug him and make sure he says the right things.
And next week, we're going to try to do this thing. What we've been doing, just so you know, we're trying to not only get the show right, but Michael's been working really hard at editing some of the shows, like doing a section. And so we're loading those up on YouTube. If you check those out and like them.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be nice. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that. That's always a good thing. I did a quick call with the wonderful and talented Imbal Lori recently.
Imbal, we like her.
And yeah, we love Imbal. And she was talking about how, you have to have a certain number of subscriptions, and then after that you can do some cool things.
It's cool, yeah, it's true.
There's some cool things that can be done.
So this,
we're
you
slowly
could
gonna
help
get
us
there.
unlock this.
That's right. And next week we're going to come back and we're going to have 3 more chapters, 3 more questions. If you
Do we know what next week's chapters are? Do you know?
Not even close.
Did you remember?
Nope. And
Me neither.
but if you have ideas of things that it should be about, don't hesitate to let us know. Put it anywhere. We're going to get a fan page for It Should Be About Something soon.
Where should we get this fan page? Should we put this fan page on Facebook?
Well, that's the question.
Is that a place to put
Or
it?
is it the kind of thing where we should start being more email-y? Like, we should have an It Should Be About Something email with some factoids and, what's coming up and the links so that everyone gets it and only the people that want to know about it get it. I don't know. Maybe you'll figure that out.
Maybe you'll figure that out.
Maybe I'll figure it out. We'll figure it all out.
Maybe Jim will get us somebody who'll work for free and do all that work.
Yeah, because that's what Jim does. Hey, how you doing?
Jim makes up things for other people to do for free.
I've always wanted to have an intern.
An intern. Yeah.
Can't we just write in the comments? See? Thank you, Pavlov's dog.
Yeah, Pavlov, you rock.
Write in the
You
comments.
are the best intern. Unpaid. The best intern.
Yeah.
Patreon
Anyway,
site.
we're going to keep trying to work on it.
Yeah.
And Patreon site, yeah, we're a little ways away from Patreon. But yes, Andrew. We're
Jim
on
the
it.
Grasshopper.
Jim the Grasshopper. Next week,
No, I
we're
think
gonna
we should
keep
look into
walking.
Patreon, actually.
Yeah, we'll do that. Let's say goodnight.
Good night, Jim.
Good night, Michael.
Wave at Verena.
Wave at Verena. Thank you all for being there and showing up. It's always a pleasure. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Stay safe, stay happy, take care of yourselves, and if you have a chance, take care of somebody else.
Yeah. You guys rock.
Bye.